Lesson 4, we are adding numbers, this time with opposite signs. So the first rule, or the first strategy that we're going to do is through our counting method, so exactly like how we did adding with the same sign. So I'm going to start with 5. How long is the arrow that represents 5? That is 5 units. What direction does 5 point? Well, it's positive, so it's going to point to the right. I'm going to go ahead and put that on my number line. So all the way to 5. Then it says, how long is the arrow that represents -3? Well, it's going to be 3 units, but it's going to go in the opposite direction. So 3 units to the left. And I'm going to graph that. Remember, I'm not starting back at 0. I'm starting where 5 is. So where my last arrow ended. So 3 in the opposite direction. So -3. I end at +2. Which arrow is longer? Well, the 5 unit arrow is longer. It points to the right. What is the sum? If you were to represent the sum using an arrow, how long would it be? What direction? So my sum is 2, so it'd be 2 units to the right. On to the next page. We're going to try this again, this time with 4 plus -7. So I'm going to start at 0, go 4 units to the right because it's +4, and 7 units from where my last arrow ended to the left. I end at -3. Which arrow is longer? Well, my 7 unit arrow is longer and it points to the left. My sum is -3. My arrow would be 3 units to the left. So when we talk about adding positive integers, our rules take us to this little summary. So add a positive integer by adding the numbers and keeping the bigger sign. Or I guess the bigger numbers sign. When we add a negative integer, we're going to be subtracting the 2, or subtract the absolute values of the number. And we're going to keep the bigger sign. Remember, you're always going to be doing the bigger value minus the smaller value when you subtract the absolute values. If we have 0 pairs, and what I mean by that is something that looks like -10 plus 10, those are 0 pairs, meaning they're opposites. Those 0 pairs cancel each other out because they are, what we've learned, are additive inverses. So when we add them, they give us 0 because they're opposites. Just like we did for our integer chips with adding, we're going to do the same thing here with adding when we have opposite signs. So our problem that we're going to show is 6 plus -2. So that means I need 6 positive chips. Just remember, we're doing this with drawing on our paper right now. We cannot be using a calculator for this first section of our unit. So I'm going to get 6 chips down on my paper. So there's 6. And then I have 2 negative values. So I need 2 red. So 1, 2. Now, what's going to happen is with my chips, my negatives and my positives, my red and my yellow, are going to cancel each other out. So if I cancel out a red, I cancel out a yellow. Cancel out a red, cancel out a yellow until there's no more of one color. So there's no more red, so I can't cancel out any more yellow. That means my answer is positive 4. So let's try this down below. Find the sum by drawing out integer chips. So negative 5 plus 3. So I need 5 red chips. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I need 3 positive chips. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to cancel out my colors until I have no more of one color. So canceling out as I go. Oh, I'm out of yellow, so that means my answer should be negative 2. I'm going to do the same thing. To make it a little bit faster, I'm going to circle or copy 2 of my negative chips. So I need 6 total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, since they're all the same color, I can't cancel anything out. I'm just going to count up the total amount of chips I have, which should be 10. But remember, these are negative chips, so my answer should be negative 10. All right, on to the next page. So on your own, I want you to try this out. So you're going to use the integer chips and the number line to show negative 7 plus 5. So pause the video when you're all set. Just check and check your work. So I'm just going to paste my 7 negative chips. So there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to erase one. So there's 7 negative chips. To go back to copy my positives. One, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, I'm going to cross them off until I have no more of one color. So yellow, red, yellow, red, yellow, red, yellow, red, yellow, red. So my answer should be 2, but it's red chip, a negative chip, so it should be negative 2. I'm going to show that on my paper. So starting at 0, or on my number line, going to negative 7, starting at negative 7, going up 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I should end at negative 2. And the last strategy we're going to learn is using our rule. So we're going to find the absolute value of our integers. Then we're going to subtract the absolute values and keep the sign of the larger number. All right, so just looking at these without actually calculating them, I'm going to circle my larger number. I've got 2. Well, 2 is positive, so my answer should be positive. Negative 9, that's larger, so my answer should be negative. 6 is bigger than 3, but 6 is negative, so my answer is negative. 11 is bigger than 1, and 11 is negative, so my answer should be negative. So we're going to go ahead on the next page and calculate the sum. So my larger number is 10, so I'm going to do 10 minus 7. 10 minus 7 is 3, but 10 is a negative, so that means my answer should be negative 3. I'm going to do the same thing. 16 is my larger number. I should have 16 minus 8, which is 8. Now, this should be negative because 16 is got a negative sign in front of it. 65 is my larger number, so I'm going to do 65 minus 12. 65 minus 12. If you need to, off to the side, you can set this up vertically instead. So 65 minus 12. Oops. Yeah. Is 53. And this should be a positive 53. So it's just 53. And my last one, I've got 126 minus 105. When I subtract those, I should get 21. And since 126 is bigger, it should be negative 21. Solving the problems below. So it says find the sum of negative 18 and 7. So negative 18 plus 7. Negative 18 is my bigger number. I'm going to do 18 minus 7, which is 11. So it should be negative 11. If the temperature outside was 73 degrees at 5 o'clock, but it fell 19 degrees by 10 o'clock, what is the temperature at 10? Write and solve an equation. All right, so it starts at 73 degrees, and it fell means it goes down by 19. So I'm going to have 73 plus negative 19. So this is going to be 73 minus 19. And 73 is my bigger number, so my answer should be positive 54. Just a little sum it up. Adding integers with the same sign, we're going to add them up and keep the common sign. Adding integers with opposite signs, we're going to find the absolute value, subtract their absolute values, bigger number minus smaller number, and then we're going to keep the sign of the integer that has the larger absolute value. Okay, that is all for this lesson. Good luck on your homework.